Are you ready for another question?
Yes, ma'am.
We got a question from Jason. He says, I just started to invest the funds in my HSA account.
Nice.
He's no longer the 96% of people using it as a clearing account.
Somebody's
so
been
congrats
listening.
to you.
Yeah.
That's great. How do you recommend setting up allocations? Do you recommend similar target funds, or how should he think about investing in the HSA since this is a new thing for him?
Yeah, HSAs are kind of unique, and I would argue it depends a little bit on where you are in your financial journey. And this is what I mean by that. For those of you that don't know, we love health savings accounts because they're triple tax advantaged. You get a deduction on the front end. The money grows tax deferred if you then invest it. And then if you pull it out for qualified medical expenses or to reimburse yourself for past qualified medical expenses, then it's completely tax free. So they are like super, super exciting. Well, Brian, I counsel a lot of young folks who say, hey, I opened enrollment, just hit, and I did the high deductible plan. I can do my HSA. I'm going to put money in there and I'm going to go invest. And I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. I like the sound of that. However, this is the first time you put money in your HSA, and you're still pretty early in the financial order of operations. Yeah, you've got your deductibles covered, but a lot of life can still happen. Here's what I think you ought to consider doing. Inside of your HSA, why don't you consider that deductibles covered, that step one of the FOO, why don't you leave that much in your HSA in cash, just in case? So that way you don't get into a crunch, you don't get into a pinch. So whatever your deductible is, think about leaving that in cash. Well, then you can go and invest the remainder. And Brian, I want you to talk about what are some of the things that we invest in. And then as your financial situation continues to change, continues to improve, as the numbers get bigger, then you can say, you know what, I'm just going to invest all of my HSA dollars. But I think early on, it's not crazy to leave a little liquidity in there, especially if you're with a great provider. This is not an endorsement, but like Fidelity, even if you have money sitting in their money market mutual fund inside their HSA, it's paying like 5% right now. So it's not a horrible place to have a little bit of cash sitting. Now, when it comes to investing the dollars, you say what you like and then I'll say what I like.
No, I mean, it is one of those things. And you leaned heavily into something that I really approve of, is having, especially starting out, that cash for the highest deductible amount first. And if you're an individual or if you have a family, pay attention. There's a difference between those two numbers. So get the highest of that. And if you have a broad enough conservative base with that cash, then you can just consider going direct to index funds for the portion you want to invest. However, is you're trying to think about this in terms of when will I cash this money out? Because there's a comfort level, and I'll give you some perspective on this. My youngest daughter, y'all know, she is she's autistic, and she goes to a special school that every year the school even sends out the form saying, hey, this qualifies as a medical expense, especially if you have a doctor or a practicing professional who recommended our unique services. So that really is something that it's a large number.
Yep.
So I feel like I could grow my HSA so large that there's almost an unlimited. You'll
never not be able to reimburse yourself.
Not be able to reimburse myself. So I can swing a little bit harder for the fences on that growth, because I'm also at the more established place where if the volatility temporarily took it down, it doesn't mean I can't wait. I have enough time to wait. So I'm doing straight index fund. But I think somebody, if I would encourage you, if you think you'll need to cash this money out in the next 5 to 7 years because you just don't feel comfortable leaving it in there, or you think there'll be a big lump sum need, you might want to look at indexed target retirement fund for that period certain, or that graduation point, to kind of give you, it handles that glide path of being aggressive or less aggressive to more aggressive to less aggressive as you get closer to the actual cash out date that you need the money.
I love it. Target retirement index funds, great solution. Low cost index funds, great solution. And if you're looking for like a set it and forget it solution, you can obviously go with like index funds across like a singular asset class, but there are even index funds out there that will invest across multiple asset classes. Like a total market index is great. You'll get some large capitalization, small capitalization. There's a fund that we used to love that had like 4 different types of asset classes in there as index fund. So there are solutions and options out there for you. Just make sure you're in the right part of your journey to be able to implement one of those solutions or options.
I love it, Jason, though, that you're investing, because awesome. You're right. That stat, 96% of people just use this as a clearing account. The real financial mutant way to do this is to be that 4% that takes advantage of the full triple tax advantage opportunity.